Shalom. Before I begin, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, HaMALAKWATH, the bonus to the apostles and elders, Great Millstone, and Shalom to the Akim, teaching his word, about the four corners in true sincerity. Back on another lesson, explained by Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, the Lord willing is edifying unto the elect, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. Okay, and the elect consists of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay, this word is sent out unto them to repent and turn back, because we are in the last days. Okay, we are living in the last days. But the Lord is, this word is coming out. Prophecy, is constantly, happening. Okay, and more. We see more prophecies, about to arise. Okay, and a time of trouble is coming. Okay, where, the elect are going to need to be delivered from said times. Okay, and it starts, by this truth, by them getting the wisdom and knowledge of this truth before that great and terrible day. Okay, that great and terrible day. But again, before that happens, they have to get the truth and prepare themselves. Okay, we're coming back, okay, to our heritage. We're coming back, or we're remembering our true heritage, even to the language that we speak, okay, in the past, and that we're relearning, now in these times, because it's part of our heritage, and the Lord, told us that the Lord's going to turn us back into a pure language. In Zephaniah 3:9, it says, for then will I return to the people a pure language, that they may call up, that they may all call upon the name, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord Yahweh, to serve him with one consent. So what is that language? Okay, the Hebrew. Okay, because we need the Hebrew, because the name of the Lord Yahweh, okay, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, that's in the Hebrew. You can't say that without it being in the Hebrew. That's his name. Okay, it's not Jesus. That's not a true name of the Lord. It's Yahweh Shai, which means he saves or he delivers. Okay, so we need the Hebrew. It's very beneficial, in many different ways. Okay, but as I said, we're returning and remembering the things that we once knew, because the scriptures told us that we would discontinue, from our heritage. Jeremiah 17:4, it says, thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. So we're coming back into our heritage, and a part of our heritage, okay, is knowing, okay, the Lashon Kodash, okay, the holy tongue, the Hebrew. Okay, coming back into it, because these are things that we want to know. It's that, and the key word is that we discontinued from it. Again, blue letter, it says, the wonderful possession I have reserved for you will slip from your hands. That's like it. I'm gonna get the word discontinue, not the verse. It says discontinue is to release, to be made to fall down, be thrown down, to cause to let drop. Discontinue. Okay, what's the definition? Discontinue, to cease doing, to stop. Typically provided on a regular basis. Cease doing or providing something typically on a regular basis. Okay, we stopped. Okay, why is that? Because we've been through these different captivities. Block it. We've been through these different captivities, and we forgot. We forgot. Esau, part of it, Esau beating it out of us. What's your name? Toby. Is a form of, Jake forgetting, okay? who they were or what language we spoke. They forced us to speak. We ultimately learned and they forced us to speak English. This is not our true, language. Okay. Even when Yahushua was talking, knocked Paul off his high horse in Acts, he said he spoke in the Hebrew tongue. Acts 26, and start at 13. It says, "At midday, O king, I saw in the way a light from heaven, above the brightness of the sun, shining round about me, and them which journeyed with me. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking to me, and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Is it hard for thee to kick against the prick?" So Yahweh said, I was shy, speaking in what? The Hebrew tongue. Okay. I have one more precept. Then I'm gonna go into the word, okay, the Hebrew word of the day that I wanted to bring out. Looks like I just lost it. Isaiah 19:18, it says, "In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan, and swear to the Lord Yahweh of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction." And what is that language? Okay, the language of Canaan is what? The Hebrew. Is the Hebrew. Let's do a quick Google search, to prove the see that it says the Hebrew. Okay. It's an ancient Hebrew. So hey man, we coming back into it. We not go, some brothers may be fluent, but our job is to ultimately, try to understand it as much as possible. Speaking to myself first and foremost, starting with the vocab, with the alphabet, okay, then get into the prefixes and etc. Okay, it's a work in progress. But the word I wanted to start with was HAMALAKWATH. Okay, and if you check the thumbnail that I put, okay, I wrote it down, okay, on a piece of paper, okay, to break it down. And the way that we read the Hebrew is not how we do with not how we do here in Babylon with English. How English they read left to right. Okay, we read from the right to the left, right? If you read the Lord's Prayer, right? When you look at the Lord's Prayer, and I have it, you don't start from Shamka, right? You start from Abanawa. You start from the right. So you read from the right to the left, okay? And the same thing with the spelling. When you see the word HAMALAKWATH and the letter for it, it looks like a backwards F, right? Where is it? Right here. You see the word Ha, right? And Ha is the, okay? Then you have Malak, right? And that word, the M, right, is you can screenshot it as well if you're watching. Okay, it's Ma. Then you have El, La. Then you have the Ka, right? Hamalak, and the word Malak, right? And with the words, right, you may have an instance where you see these little connectors, for certain words, because when you see that connector, like for the K, you will drop the A, okay, to spell HAMALAKWATH. All right, you would drop it. Now it's from the word Ha, for the prefix Ha is the. Okay, so the and Malak is king, and Wath, okay, and Wath, makes it kingdom. Okay, so HAMALAKWATH, so the kingdom. Okay, so we're gonna break each letter. The start is Ha. The second letter is Ma. The third is La, and the fourth letter will be Ka, right? Because you have the K, and you see it in the thumbnail that I wrote as well. Or you have the K right here. You will see it has KA, but because it has that connector, you drop the A, so it would be just K, right? Then you have the next letter It looks like a Y, but it's a Wa, right? It's Wa, and it's right here. You know, Wa. Right, well, then you have the, and you notice that it has a connector, because in the alphabet you have the. So with that connector, you drop the A, making making Wath. So HAMALAKWATH. You know, that's the kingdom. Okay, and it's in the Lord's Prayer. Okay, HAMALAKWATH. Okay. You know, again, if you want to take a screenshot, you take a screenshot. Okay, you know, these things are that we slowly, you know, coming back to. You know, you don't go into, you know, you start baby steps. Okay, like if you just learn the alphabet, you don't, you know, if you can, you know, it's up to you. You don't want to learn the whole thing on one go. You want to start, you know, you could do the first 5, and then the next, and then the next, and the next. You know, you do it in pairs so you'll be able to understand it, and you'll be able to remember it. Okay, because these are not things that we want to forget. You know, gotta be on point with it. Speaking to myself first and foremost. Okay. You know, but again, take a screenshot. By God, how was God. Even practice sounding them out, and even writing them down. Okay, use flashcards, or for me, I just write them down. I just write down the whole alphabet. You know, constantly. You know, like grab a piece of paper, or if you have a notebook, just write down the whole alphabet down, or write it down the whole paper, so it can stick in your mind. Okay, you gotta use repetition. You know, when you're studying the Hebrew and trying to understand it, knowing what words are, what they mean. Okay, it's all it's baby steps. Okay, it's baby steps, right? Bring out a precept. It's 2 Peter 3:1. It says, "This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, and both by which I stir up your pure minds by the way of remembrance." So, again, you know, we coming back, you know, into this, you know, coming back into our language, coming back into our heritage, but we're being reminded of things that we once knew, that we once forgot. Okay. I'm reading NLT. It says, "This my second letter to you, dear friends, and in both of them I tried to stimulate your wholesome thinking and refresh your memory," because we forgot it. You know, because it might be hard learning a new language. You know, it's going to be hard. You know, it's basically a new language to us, but really it's not a new language. You just forgot it. Okay, but once you understand it, you know, it's simpler, and it's better. All right, you go to that word remembrance, or reminding. So we're being reminded. Okay, because the language that they spoke in, you know, the ancient times, our forefathers spoke it. You know, it was a regular thing. How we speak English now, they was fluent. You know, same thing with us. Okay. You know, but that alone is, you know, quick lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, HaMALAKWATH, and the honors to the apostles, elders, great millstone, shalom, to the I can teach this word throughout the four corners, and true sincerity, shalom.